Alright, let's dive into one of Kotlin's most powerful language features. Now, say if you ever encountered those annoying null pointer exception in other languages, you'll love how Kotlin deals with nullability. By the end of this video, you will understand what nullability is, how to manage it using safe calls, the Elvis operator, non-null assertion, and some cool Kotlin scope functions like let and run. Let's get started. So what's null and the problem with null values? In programming, null means nothing or no value. Imagine you are filling out a form and leaves some fields empty. That's like setting those fields to null. In code, null represents the absence of a value. Or think about applying to several jobs and receiving responses from most companies, but one company does not reply at all. You don't know if they are interested, rejected, or have not made decision yet. The application can be considered now because you have no information about it. In programming, when a variable is null, it means it has no assigned value, just like you don't have any response from the company. The problem is that in many programming languages, you can accidentally use null values without checking if they are really null, which could lead to errors. Usually, when the program tries to use nothing, that's a null value, as if it were something. This is one of the most common causes of crashes in many software applications. But Kotlin helps you to manage these situations with null safety, making sure that you check if something is null before using it, so you avoid errors caused by accessing information that isn't there. Let's look at nullability in Kotlin. Kotlin handles null in a safer way through something called nullability. Kotlin forces you to be clear about whether a variable can or cannot hold a null value. If a variable cannot be null, we say it is non-nullable. If a variable can be null, we say it is nullable. By default, Kotlin assumes variables are non-nullable, meaning they can't hold a null value unless you specifically allow them. For example, when you create a variable, say name, and you give it a type of string, and you give it a value of Maoli. Here, the name variable is non-nullable string. If you try to assign null to it, Kotlin will give you an error. So we got an error because it's non-nullable. Let's look at a nullable variable. So if you create a nullable variable, say username, and you specify the type as string. To specify that this variable is nullable, you bring a question mark in front of the type. You can assign the value of null. So now Kotlin accepts the null value without complaint. So in this case, the username is nullable string, meaning it can hold either a string or a null value. So here you can assign a name to it. At the same time, you can assign a null value to it. It's acceptable. But earlier on, when we tried this here, we had an error. All right, now that you know what null means and how it can cause problem in program, let's see how Kotlin helps handle it easily with safe calls. When dealing with the null variable, Kotlin provides the safe call operator to access properties or method if the variable is not null. This prevents your program from crashing. Let's see how it works. So we create a nullable value, give it an initial value of John. With a safe call operator, we can do something like this. So with this, we can print the number of characters in the string John. So let's run it and see the output. So it prints here 4. That's the number of characters that makes the word John. So in this example, name question mark dot length will give the length of the name if it is null. If the name is null, it simply returns without crashing. Great. Now that you've seen how safe calls help us check if something is empty before using it, let's move on to another useful tool in Kotlin, the Elvis operator. The Elvis operator is like a backup plan. If a value is null, the Elvis operator lets you provide a default value instead. It is a simple way to make sure your code has something to work with even when a value might be missing. Let's see that in action. So if name is set to null, the Elvis operator will return the value after this operator, which is 0. Otherwise, it will return the length of name. So let's run it and see. It returns the default value that we supplied. So this one prevents the program from crashing because you've given me a default value or a backup plan that whenever this one or this value is now, it should use this one in place of that. Awesome. Now that you have a backup plan with the Elvis operator, let's move on to some more powerful, the non-null assertion. This operator tells Kotlin, hey, I'm absolutely sure this value isn't empty, so go ahead and use it. But be careful, if you are wrong and the value is empty, the program will crash. So only use this when you are certain the value isn't null. So this is how the non-null assertion operator works. So you use double exclamation sign, which is the non-assertion operator. So if you run this, it will print the length of this string. However, if this is null, the app will crash. So make sure you are certain that this does not result to a null value before using it. Let's test it and see the outcome. Okay, so we have 6, which is the number of characters in my name. But if we should set this to now, our app crash, run it again. Okay, so you see the error, blah blah blah, but it's pointing to the line at which the error is coming from, which is line 23. So before you use the non-null assertion operator, you have to be certain that the variable has a value before you use it. Okay, so finally, let's look at some really cool helper functions called Kotlin scope functions. So let's start with let. The let function allows you to run some code only if the value is not null. It is super useful when you want to perform actions on a value that might be empty. Let's take an example. So this is how we use the let scope function. Inside of it, we can print something like, so this code will only run when the name variable is not null. So let's test it. So we have here hello Maoli, but when we set it to null, this block of code will not run. So as we can see, there is no output here. So let's look at the run scope function, similar to the let function, but often used when you want to return a result. Let's look at an example. So we have a variable called name, okay, and we specify the type, which is nullable. Then we give it a value of Maoli. Create another variable result. Then we call run. I'll combine it with the Elvis operator. So when I print result, then let's run it now and see what comes. So you can see in this example, run is called only when name is not null. It returns the message welcome Maoli if has a value. If name is null, it falls back to the default message, which is name is missing. That's all on null safety in Kotlin. So you've learned about nullability, safe calls, the Elvis operator, non-null assertion, and some cool scope function, let and run. These features make your code safer and more reliable by preventing unexpected crashes due to null values. If you have questions and need more clarification on any of the concepts, feel free to drop your queries in the comments below. I'm all ears. Thank you for watching and see you in the next episode.